Dalla splendida California, benvenuti al GCN Show!
Welcome to the GCN Show.
Coming up this week, we discuss some of the reasons why everybody should give racing a go.
Plus, close passes are being frightfully researched over in Sweden. There's another crit series in the US, a solar-powered cycling path, plus the start of the Giro d'Italia. This week in the world of cycling, we learned that Fernando Gaviria is a genius on a bike. He sprinted around this final corner on stage 6 of the Tour de Romandie, out of the saddle at over 65 kilometres per hour to take the win.
Wow, sprinters are nuts, aren't they? We also learnt this week, whilst everybody loves to win a game of rock, paper, scissors, nobody quite celebrates as much as Hank does.
No.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Yes! That's my first win of the day.
He wasn't quite so happy as that, was he, when he punctured about 200 times on a 200-pound bike, was he?
No, but the rest of us did find it quite
Very amusing, yes. And finally, we learned that every cyclist should give racing a try. Last week, Conor entered a road race for the first time in over 4 years, taking on his local crit on a gravel bike. You can see the results of how he got on in the video, which went up on the channel at the weekend.
I can't believe it's been 4 years since he raced. I got the impression he was a bit apprehensive before the start, but as you can tell, he was buzzing afterwards. He did have a lot of fun, didn't he?
He did, yeah. And one of the things that he mentioned was that there were just so many people on the start line of differing abilities up for a bit of bike racing. And that got us thinking, because bike racing can often be looked at as slightly elitist, maybe a bit niche in the world of cycling, just for those that are fit enough or maybe crazy enough to try racing. But that isn't necessarily true.
No, definitely not. I think racing bikes is open to everybody and it can be so enjoyable no matter what your fitness level or your experience. It is a lot of fun riding in a bigger group, following the wheels, trying to figure out how the race is going to develop, or even just trying to challenge yourself to stay on, which I do most of the time.
Yeah, for me as well, that would be the case. Riding for whatever reason you have, though, is always a morale boost, but there's something about the added adrenaline that racing brings. It might also not be quite as hard as you think it will be. Yes, there are hard races, and we here at GCN like to reminisce, don't we, about the particularly brutal moments of our own careers. But just remember that we're talking about world-class pro races in that instance.
Yeah, and although in my experience there have been plenty of amateur races that have been just as hard, that being said, depending on the course or the category you're riding in, some races can be relatively easy to ride in if you have some experience of riding in a group. Attacking may be hard, staying out of the wind, protected by big groups isn't, and you can learn a whole heap from just being with other riders.
Yeah, there's always stuff to learn, isn't there? And also, if you're someone who perhaps struggles to motivate themselves to really push hard and push deep in training, taking on a race is actually quite an easy way to push yourself harder than you ever have done before, even without realising it.
Yeah, definitely. You just get sucked into that competitive vibe and almost forget how hard you're actually trying. It's nice if you do have a closed circuit to race on like Conor did, as it means you can safely focus on the riding and racing and it's not kind of stop-start like you are in training all the time. It's also really sociable. A club or group ride is great for meeting like-minded cyclists, but a race is also great for that too.
Yeah, because there's a bit more time before and after the race to talk to other riders and share the experience, rather than being in a breathless conversation on a bunch spin whilst Ollie Bridgewood is half-wheeling you with his newfound form. It's hard to talk, isn't it?
Yeah, I think giving racing a go also gives you the appreciation for pro racing too. So if you're watching the action over on GCN Plus, you can understand the reason behind the tactics, the build-up to the key moments even more. Last up though, and this is perhaps the biggest reason to try racing, or maybe the biggest barrier: the kit.
Yes, it can be very easy to get drawn into thinking that you need all the latest gear to pin a number on and try racing. But that isn't the case, necessarily.
For sure not. Yes, top of the spec bikes and components may help, but they aren't a deal breaker. You can 100% enter a bike race on whatever drop bike you want. I mean, to be honest, it doesn't even have to be a drop bar bike, does it?
No, as Conor showed on his gravel bike at Criterium. Yeah, there's plenty of races to take on these days that will suit all of you out there, I reckon. Gravel events, your local crit maybe, beach races, multi-day bike packing point-to-point races, for example, or even just the fastest known solo attempts from one point to another. They're very popular, aren't they?
Yeah, plus there are also some more relaxed ways of testing a bit of competition, with the likes of Giro offering an enduro-style approach, a mix between a serious race, if that's what you want, or a party, if that's what you want.
I think that's what we want, really, isn't it, these
definitely.
days? The point is, though, that whatever style of competition you're after, if you feel like you'd like to give it a go, you absolutely can. So what are you waiting for? We promise that you will not regret it.
Do let us know if you've tried racing before, or maybe if you're thinking about it and what you're aiming to do down in the comment section below. It'll be great to hear your take on it.
It would. Yeah, there's nothing quite like the experience of pinning a number on and racing for the very first time.
Get those like butterflies, don't you?
You do, yes. And they don't go away necessarily, but
No.
I quite enjoyed that part of it. But anyway, speaking of racing, there are a couple of big races on this week on GCN+. So the Women's Welter kicked off yesterday with a team time trial, and that continues through to Sunday. Whilst on Saturday, it's the start of the Giro d'Italia.
Hence your Stelvio t-shirt.
Yes, available over at shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com, along with a host of other clothing and merchandise, some of which we have on here, some of which Manon's about to try on.
Oh, nice pink hat.
Yep.
Not sure I quite suit a hat, but get in the
Yeah, we've got
Giro
loads of
mood.
stuff over there on the shop website, so if you like the look of any of that, go and check it out and you can make a purchase there.
You haven't mentioned that you're looking forward to the Giro much.
No.
In the last 2 weeks.
Well, last sort of 2 months probably.
Yeah.
I've been banging on about it. But when you look at the start list,
Here we go.
Evenepoel, Roglic, Ganna for the opening time trial on day one. We've got lots of Cavendish and Gaviria there for the sprint as well. Whole host of other GC contenders like Blasov, Almeida, J-Vine. Really interested to see what he can do over the course of the 3 weeks. But I think the thing that I'm most looking forward to is the fact that we can show all of you live and on-demand ad-free coverage on GCN+, and that includes, of course, New Zealand this year. We've been banging that drum for quite some time since we knew that we could show it in New Zealand. But it's just great that you can all enjoy it with us together. So we very much look forward to having your company from Saturday, hopefully for the entire 3 weeks.
You're not going to be able to sleep on Friday night, are you?
I don't think I will be, no.
Like a
I'll
kid at
be
Christmas.
useless at punditry and commentary on Saturday because I haven't slept this night.
And now it's time for cycling shorts.
Cycling shorts now, and we'll start with the news that having 3 cycling teams isn't enough for Justin Williams. He's now launched his own cycling race series as well.
Yes, his new Crit Race series, aptly named Crit, is in partnership with the Williams Racing Wasserman Ventures, looking to shape the future of American cycling with its multi-million-dollar investment.
Yes, now we should point out that the race series Crit actually stands for Circuit Racing International Tour.
See what they've done there.
I see what they've done there as well. And they haven't released any information on the race format or athletes as of yet, but Justin did have this to say about it, and I quote, "Crit is the culmination of a lifetime of dedication and passion to the sport of cycling, and is our shared vision for what the future of cycling can look like."
Very cool. From America to Germany now, where they have just finished their first photovoltaic cycle path.
Photo what?
Photovoltaic. Now, I did have to look this up on Google, but basically it means that it converts sunlight to electrical energy.
So a solar panel then, presumably. by the sounds of it.
I think so, basically. Anyway, the cycle path uses 912 of these solar panels along the 300-metre stretch of cycle lane to create renewable energy, and also acts as a cover to protect cyclists from the elements.
Yes, Heinz Werner Holscher, a Badenova board member for the project, said that this pilot project shows how urban spaces can be used twice, and hopefully successful pilots like this will encourage governments everywhere to continue to build and invest in cycling infrastructure, especially with more people cycling than ever before, as pointed out by the report from the Department of Transport highlighting that cycling in the UK has remained 11% above pre-pandemic levels.
Moving on to some racing now, and Remco Evenepoel, the recent winner of Liège and last year's Vuelta champ, can be seen fronting fast food chains' latest advertisements.
Yes, this is actually from last year, isn't it? But it's split opinion somewhat, with some saying It's good seeing cycling represented via mainstream outlets, while others, perhaps rightly pointing out that it's a bit of a shame to see a sporting personality encouraging fast food consumption.
He wouldn't be the first. Oreo had the Williams sisters and Shaquille O'Neal endorse them. McDonald's have had plenty of sports stars over the years, including LeBron James fronting ad campaigns, and David Beckham was the face of Burger King back in 2012. But let us know in the comment section what you think.
I guess they all probably burnt enough calories, didn't they, to get away with eating fast
definitely.
food. But moving on to close passes now, something all of us as cyclists will have experienced out on the road at some point, unfortunately. But a new study by researchers in Sweden has been looking at the effects of such manoeuvres on a rider.
Yeah, the study had cyclists riding on a static trainer with a long truck past them at a distance of 1.5 and 2 metres at speeds of 50 and 80 kilometres per hour. Just looks so scary to see the video researchers post the experiment, and it kind of hits home how intimidating it can feel when you're out on the road.
Yeah, it does. I think I've seen videos along these lines in the past, and they always sort of put into context just what it feels like if you're actually riding rather than static. I think next we'd like to see truck drivers put on those bikes so that they know how it feels. Although again, I think in the video that I saw previously, it was coach or bus drivers.
Yeah, I think I've seen a bus one
that
as
were
well.
on the side there, and they experienced what it was like to have a close pass. Anyway, I don't remember where I saw that, but check it out or let us know if you do know.
Some pretty cool news from Wahoo now, and they are launching the Summit Free Ride update in the latest version of the Bolt and Roam today. I'm looking forward to this because it will allow main climbs to be detected and the elevation profile of the route ahead without having any sort of route planned, which is pretty cool.
Very good, yeah. A solid warning system in place then, and some good stats to help you navigate your next ride out on the road. If you're someone who likes to plan your route in advance though, and know exactly what's coming up before you head out of the door, then Komoot's latest announcement is going to be very good news for you.
They have partnered with the Giro d'Italia this year to release a collection of 21 stages, so you can follow in the wheel tracks of the race if you wish to do so, or just have a really in-depth browse of what the riders will be facing.
Yes, very nice too. And finally, in cycling shorts, a Scottish grandmother, Mavis Peterson, is taking on a 1,000-mile ride on her 85th birthday.
A significant birthday that's still a long way off for you, isn't it, Dan?
Yes, taking this long, but that is this dagger to the heart right there, Manon.
Have to get one in.
But anyway, her motivation for taking on this and other challenges is to raise money for charities and help her cope with the loss of her 3 children in quick succession. I cannot even begin to imagine how you deal with that kind of tragedy in your life, but she describes cycling as like therapy and says it helps her to cope.
And what a hero she is. And whilst I don't think any of us can put ourselves in her shoes, I think most of us can relate to using cycling as therapy, can't we?
Yeah, definitely. But you are right, she's an absolute hero because also in 2019, Mavis became the oldest person to ride from Land's End to John O'Groats, and she raised £75,000 whilst doing it. So we salute you, Mavis.
That is amazing.
Yep, right, just before we finish with cycling shorts, we've got an announcement to make, haven't we?
We have. The Global Bike Festival is now less than 2 months away, and we are pleased to announce some new information regarding one of the epic rides we have planned for the main day on the Saturday, the Giro.
Yes, which is a new race added to the programme for this year. Basically, it's a mashup of enduro and gravel racing with timed race sections. Race results will be based on the cumulative time that you take across each of those sections.
That sounds awesome, doesn't it? The race is also open to mountain bike and gravel riders, and there will be prizes up for grabs for different categories, including e-bikes.
That'll be what I'm on. 3 route options are also available, ranging from easy to advanced. And we've now released a day ticket, which will include the Giro race entry, which means that you can take part in the race during the day and then enjoy the festival entertainment and finish party that evening.
Oh, I can't wait. If you want to check out the full route and or book your race entry and tickets, head over to www.globalbikefestival.com/Giro.
Indeed, we hope to see some of you there. Hack/Bodge of the week now. A reminder that you can upload your hacks or bodges or any that you've seen over on the GCN app, and indeed that's where you cast your votes on the ones that we read out. The first of which this week comes from 1974 Marco, Pain Cave Revamp. After suffering a stroke in March 2021, I needed an indoor space to build myself up and get back on my bike. The perfect space was my garage. I recently splashed a bit of paint around to make the pain cave a bit of a nicer place to be. Apart from the pain, obviously, it's surprising how much more I want to be on Zwift. It's tons better. I hope you think so too. Just like to say a big thank you to all at GCN for helping me through a really hard time and giving me something to focus on. Well, 1974 Marco, it's absolutely our pleasure, and I'm very pleased to hear that you are now back on your bike and doing a lot better. All the best for the future. That's definitely a hack from me. I think it looks great.
Yeah, I think it looks awesome. Got a bit of everything going on in there. Don't need anything else, do you?
No, shut up legs written on the wall as well.
Yeah.
Jens Vogt, of course. Hack from me, and it is a hack from 95% of viewers.
Good going, that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, we've got one in from Bob Paneers. Instead of having to change my rear tyre every time I put my bike on the trainer and spending a lot of time getting grimy, I decided to try using 1-inch duct tape to protect the tyre from wearing. It works. It's quick, it's easy. Duct tape is a lot easier and less expensive than a new tyre. Any tape residue on the tyre after the tape removal is easily cleaned and less than a mile on a paved road.
I get the idea. I'd have just thought that duct tape wouldn't offer you enough grip on that style of indoor trainer at the rear wheel. Surely it slips about, doesn't it?
I mean, he says it works.
Maybe he's not putting much power through the pedals.
Savage. Wow, what are you going to say?
I don't... Well, if it works, I'm going to say hack, because it can be quite expensive using that type of indoor trainer because it does wear through your tyre incredibly quickly. And it's also a hassle, as they pointed out, to replace with a trainer tyre every time you go on an indoor trainer. So for that reason, I'm saying hack.
I'm going to go bodge.
You're going bodge?
Yeah,
well, I have
sure
a feeling you're going to be in the majority on this one. And I'm right. 58% of you went with bodge for that one,
Yep.
and 42% with hack. Next up, Ash for riding. Electrolyte refill. Only carry one bottle on most rides and need to refill on the way. Don't want to carry a whole tube of tablets, so just cut down an old one and now it fits snugly in either a pocket or a tool bag.
That is genius.
It is genius, I think, isn't
Big
it?
fan of that one.
Yeah.
Definitely a hack from me.
Yeah, because they are just a little bit too long, aren't they? To
Yeah.
be comfortable in your pocket with everything else that you need.
I've never thought of just taking hydro tabs with me.
Have you not?
No. I might start doing that.
I think I did once upon a time, many moons
Many
ago.
years ago.
It's a hack from me,
Hack from me.
and it's a hack from 86%
Wow.
of you.
Next up, one from Stark Mapper. It took me a while to realise that this bike is actually on a bike rack, just not in the most conventional way.
No. You see this quite a lot, don't you? Bikes on the back of cars
That does not
that
look
are
safe.
blocking lights, blocking the number plates, but it's rare to see one that's also upside down.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you could read the manual as Stark Mapper suggested.
Poor bike.
Or just look at most other bikes on the back.
Yeah. Surely you'd put it on upside down and think, oh, that doesn't look quite right.
Well, that is definitively a bodge, in my opinion.
7% said it was a hack.
I think some people just like to be controversial, don't they?
Yeah.
And just go against the grain. 93% of you voted that one a bodge. Thanks again for all of your submissions, and we'll have more hacks and bodges, of course, this time next week.
It's now time for Caption Competition, where we give you the chance to win an elite GCN water bottle. So all you have to do is leave a funny, witty caption under the picture that we give you.
Yes, this was the photo we gave you on last week's show, Remco Evenepoel saluting as he was victorious in Liège-Bastogne-Liège. And our winner this week is Oscar Holt. He may be the king of Liège, but he didn't have to wear the emperor's new clothes. Very
That's a good
clever
one.
indeed, Oscar. As ever, send your address to us in a message on Facebook and we'll get a bottle out to you as soon as possible. Here is this week's photo from the start of the Eschborn-Frankfurt race. I will get you started. What the F are you supposed to do with your arms on the podium?
Is that all you got?
That is all I've got as ever.
Wow.
Yes, other people will no doubt have more.
Most
If you
definitely.
want to have a go, leave your caption in the comment section down below, and this time next week we'll announce the winner. We have picked out a few of our favourite comments from the last 7 days worth of videos, which we'll read out now, before we let you know what's coming up on the channel this week. Starting with a few that came under our own comment underneath last week's show. What did you make of Remco's white shorts? Johnny Alaska 85, but it is psychological warfare, love it. Whilst Albert Buckingham wrote, I feel like wearing all white with the rings is like flexing a wedding dress. You're the only one allowed such an honour. Just pray it doesn't rain. Whilst Diana M wrote, Manon won the caption competition. Even her comment would be hard to beat.
So I am funny.
You are? Well, I'm not even, you didn't even make a comment.
No, I didn't even do anything. Yeah.
And you won caption
Imagine
competition.
being that funny. You don't have to say anything.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
But next, under how to use your gears on a bike in the beginner's series, Brandon wrote, I always think of it as the small shift button to put the chainring in the small gear and the larger button to put it in the larger ring. Which totally makes sense.
Handy advice,
yeah,
yes.
Really
Meanwhile,
good.
under 6 easy ways to find your perfect riding position, Mountain Bike Scotland put ride a mountain bike. I guess as you kind of expect them to put, wouldn't you?
Fair enough, yeah. Next up, on 200 miles on a £200 bike with Hank, HC puts, I assume at this point we'll soon get to see a video of Hank. Hank cycles through an active war zone on a penny farthing.
No, I don't think we'll go that far, but you never know.
You never know. And Harsh wrote, Hank, you don't just push yourself, you push a lot of others around the world to get out and ride no matter what. You absolute legend.
Yeah, important to read that out, I think,
Yeah.
because obviously we take the mick out of each other a lot.
We do.
On GCN, including mainly Hank. But he does inspire a huge number of people because he just enjoys what he's doing, whatever it is, so much, even if it's the hardest event in the world or if it's rock, paper, scissors. He's just an infectious person to be around, isn't he?
Yeah.
Finally, under Ride with Style, Pro Style Tips with Adam Blythe, Jedi's dad wrote, have you seen the clothing that Adam wears on the GCN Plus race coverage and you still want him to give style tips? Couldn't agree with you more, Jedi's dad. I mean, yeah, have you seen what he wears?
Has he got any
You can't
pink?
miss it.
No, you can't. Has he got some good pink outfits planned next week?
I've got absolutely... I don't even want to think of what outfits
You'll have
he's
to
got
keep us
planned.
updated.
But they will be planned. There's
Does he
absolutely...
plan them?
Of course he does, yeah.
Do you plan yours?
You think he just randomly picks that stuff out of the closet?
Yeah, do some of the concoctions he puts together.
I have some sort of pink related outfits, GCN of course, to wear during our coverage, not just
Well,
this one.
you've like worn that one now.
I know, it needs a wash, doesn't it?
Are you going to wear it? Going to carry on wearing it next week?
Well, I might wash it and then carry on wearing it.
Yeah, give it a
Or I
wash.
might put something else on. I mean, we're dragging this on. Nobody's going to be as interested in what I'm wearing as what Adam
No, that's
and
true.
Paula are wearing, are they? Anyway, on Wednesday this week, we are going to let you know how to get ready for a big event. And on Thursday, the best upgrades for your bike. This is you and Conor looking at the best ways to upgrade your bike, but also yourself, which sounds intriguing. You have to find out what that's all about. And then on Friday, what do pros eat? So Conor went to talk to Bora Hansgrohe, can't say my words, Bora Hansgrohe's nutritionist, to talk about how the pros get all the calories they need on board during a 3-week grand tour.
It's a lot of food. And on Saturday, a new secret weapon where Ollie gets his hands on the tyres that have been on the top of the podium for many times this season. And on Sunday, we have a Lake Garda feature where Alex takes us on a ride that he's been waiting to do for over 10 years. And it's also the first half of stage 16 of the Giro.
Which is the easier half of that stage.
Is it?
So I'm sure he deliberately chose a scenic, flatter ride around Lake Garda. Beyond all of that, we've got a special Giro collection of films for you to watch over on GCN Plus. There's about 6 of them in total, one of which is Vincenzo Nibali's. We followed him for the last season that he was racing in 2022, but it basically chronicles his entire career. And one that's coming out on May the 14th, relives Andy Hampston's triumph at the race in 1988, and many of you, if you're my age or older, will remember that he had to ride over the Passo Gavia in sleet and snow for some of the most epic photos that you ever see in cycling. One more thing for the triathletes amongst you, or those that like watching it, we've got the PTO Tour European Open on May the 6th, so this coming weekend. That's available to watch over on GCN Plus, where we'll have the entire series for you this year. We've even got mountain biking coming to GCN Plus.
Got a bit of everything, haven't
We have
we?
the UCI World Series for the first time ever. We're able to show you that live in the middle of May. So Tom Pidcock and Pauline Ferrand-Prévot will be racing in the cross country there. There's also the marathon and short track events as well. And in June, it's the start of the downhill World Series. So we have got a lot, yes.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a bit.
Right, we've been going on and on and on, so we should conclude the show there. Thank you, Manon.
Thank you for having me, Dan.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.